Today, I want to share something simple, yet powerful. Something that costs nothing, yet can transform everything. The title of my speech is, Say These 5 Things Every Morning and Watch Your Life Change. Most people wake up and immediately check their phone. Notifications, messages, problems, stress. But what if instead of starting your day reacting to life, most people think their day starts when they arrive at work, open their laptop, or meet other people? That is not true. Your day starts the moment you wake up, before you speak to anyone, before you touch your phone, before the world gives you its opinion. In that quiet moment, your mind is fresh, unprotected, and highly influenceable. Whatever you allow into your mind first becomes the foundation of your entire day. This is why morning mindset determines your future. When you wake up and immediately check your phone, you are letting other people decide how you feel. News, messages, missed calls, problems, and comparisons rush into your brain before you have chosen your own direction. Without realizing it, you start reacting instead of leading. Your emotions are hijacked, your energy drops, and your focus scatters. Once this pattern repeats every day, it slowly shapes your personality, your decisions, and eventually your life. The brain is most powerful and most flexible in the early morning. Psychologists call this a highly suggestible state. Whatever thoughts you repeat during this time sink deeper into your subconscious. If the first thoughts are negative, fearful, or stressful, your brain starts searching for evidence to support them throughout the day. If the first thoughts are positive, focused, and intentional, your brain looks for opportunities, solutions, and progress instead. This is why successful people are very disciplined about their mornings. Not because they are special, but because they understand that mindset is a habit. They do not wait for motivation to appear. They decide their mindset in advance. They understand that confidence is not something you find. It is something you practice. And the best time to practice it is when the day is still empty. Morning mindset is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about choosing how you face imperfection. Everyone has problems. Everyone has pressure. Everyone has uncertainty. The difference is how you train your mind to respond. If your first thought in the morning is, this is going to be a hard day, your body feels heavy, your actions slow down, and your patience disappears quickly. If your first thought is, I can handle today, your posture changes, your energy rises, and your mind becomes sharper. Your future is not built by one big decision. It is built by thousands of small decisions repeated daily. One of the smallest yet most powerful decisions is what you tell yourself in the morning. These words may seem simple, but repetition gives them power. Just like water shaping stone, daily thoughts shape identity. Over time, your mind begins to believe what you consistently say, and your actions naturally follow that belief. Many people say they want success, but their mornings are filled with doubt. They say they want growth, but they start the day with excuses. They say they want confidence, but they wake up reminding themselves of fear. The mind cannot move in 2 directions at the same time. If you want a strong future, you must build a strong starting point every day. When you control your morning mindset, you stop living on autopilot. You become intentional. You stop blaming circumstances and start taking responsibility. Responsibility is not pressure, it is power. The moment you accept that your thoughts are your choice, you take back control of your life. You realize that no matter what happens outside, you can decide what happens inside. This practice also creates emotional stability. Life will still have ups and downs, but your reactions become calmer and wiser. You are less easily offended, less easily discouraged, and less easily distracted. This stability compounds over time. People begin to trust you more. You trust yourself more. Confidence grows quietly, without noise, without ego. Morning mindset also improves discipline. When you start the day with intention, you are more likely to follow through on your plans. Your promises to yourself feel more serious. You stop waiting for the right mood because you understand that mood follows action, not the other way around. This is how consistency is built, not through motivation, but through routine. The future version of you is shaped by what you repeatedly do today. And what you repeatedly do today is guided by how you think in the morning. Control the first few minutes, and you influence the next few hours. Control the hours, and you shape the days. Shape the days, and you create the years. This is why morning mindset is not a small habit. It is the root habit. Everything else grows from it. Gratitude is often misunderstood as a polite habit or a simple thank you, but it is much deeper than that. Gratitude is a mental position. It is a decision about what you choose to focus on. Every day, you are surrounded by two categories of things, what is working and what is missing. Both exist at the same time. The direction of your life depends on which one you train your mind to notice first. When you wake up and immediately think about what is wrong, your brain goes into problem mode. It scans for threats, comparisons, and disadvantages. This activates stress responses in your body. Your shoulders tighten, your breathing becomes shallow, and your thinking becomes narrow. You may not even realize it, but your system is preparing for struggle. When this becomes your daily pattern, you begin to see life as something that is happening against you instead of for you. Gratitude interrupts that pattern. The moment you consciously recognize something good, no matter how small, you shift your mental lens. Instead of starting from lack, you start from abundance. This does not mean you ignore your goals or pretend challenges do not exist. It means you anchor yourself in strength before facing them. When your foundation is appreciation, your problems feel lighter because they are no longer the only thing you see. The brain has a natural bias toward negativity. This was helpful for survival in ancient times because noticing danger quickly kept humans alive. However, in modern life, this bias often creates unnecessary stress. We focus on criticism more than praise, failure more than progress, comparison more than contentment. Gratitude retrains the brain. It teaches it to recognize progress, support, and possibility. Over time, this rewiring changes not only how you feel, but how you act. When you are grateful, you become more resourceful. Instead of asking, why don't I have enough? You start asking, how can I use what I already have? That question alone opens doors. Creativity increases because your mind is not stuck in scarcity. Energy increases because you are not emotionally drained by constant dissatisfaction. Gratitude does not remove ambition. It strengthens it by giving it a stable emotional base. Gratitude also improves resilience. When setbacks happen, a grateful person recovers faster. This is because they do not define their entire reality by one negative event. They remember previous wins, previous lessons, previous support. This broader perspective prevents one mistake from turning into self-doubt. Instead of thinking everything is going wrong, they think this is one challenge in a life that still has many blessings. Relationships are deeply affected by gratitude as well. When you focus on what people lack, you create distance. When you appreciate what they contribute, you create connection. People feel valued when they are seen for their efforts. Gratitude strengthens trust and loyalty because it shifts attention from criticism to recognition. A grateful leader inspires more than a demanding one because appreciation fuels motivation more effectively than pressure. There is also a powerful internal shift that happens with gratitude. You stop measuring your worth by comparison. Comparison breeds insecurity because there will always be someone ahead of you in some area. Gratitude grounds you in your own journey. You begin to see your progress, your growth, and your unique path. Confidence becomes quieter but stronger because it is not dependent on outperforming others. Practicing gratitude every morning is especially impactful. At that time, your mind is open and impressionable. When the first thoughts of your day are appreciative, you create emotional momentum. You walk into your responsibilities with steadiness instead of frustration. Small inconveniences do not derail you as easily because your emotional balance is already positive. This momentum often carries through the day. Influencing decisions and interactions, gratitude also reduces fear. Fear thrives on the belief that you do not have enough resources to handle what is coming. When you remind yourself of what you already have, skills, support, experience, opportunities, you weaken that belief. You recognize that you are not starting from zero. Even difficulties from your past become proof of strength rather than evidence of weakness. Another important aspect of gratitude is that it encourages humility without lowering self-worth. You acknowledge that not everything you have is purely the result of your effort. There were opportunities, guidance, timing, and support involved. This awareness keeps ego in check while maintaining confidence. You feel strong, but not arrogant, ambitious, but not desperate. Over time, gratitude changes identity. You stop being someone who complains and become someone who creates. You stop focusing on limitations and start leveraging assets. The external circumstances of your life may not instantly transform, but your internal experience does. And because your internal experience influences your behavior, your external results begin to shift gradually. Gratitude is not a passive emotion. It is an active practice. It requires awareness and intention, especially in moments when negativity feels easier. But the more consistently you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, appreciation becomes your default setting. You notice opportunities faster, recover from setbacks quicker, and connect with people more deeply. What began as a simple morning habit becomes a defining characteristic of your mindset and your approach to life. Most people wait for the perfect moment to begin. They wait until they feel confident, until conditions improve, until everything looks ready. But perfection is a moving target. It keeps shifting, and while people wait for it, time passes. Progress, on the other hand, does not wait for perfection. It only asks for movement. Small daily improvement is the quiet force behind real success, and it is far more powerful than chasing flawless results. The idea of getting better every day removes pressure. When you aim for perfection, you demand too much from yourself too quickly. One mistake feels like failure. One slow day feels like proof that you are not good enough. This mindset creates fear, and fear leads to procrastination. When improvement becomes the goal instead of perfection, mistakes turn into feedback, and slow days become part of the process rather than a reason to quit. Human growth does not happen in big jumps. It happens in small adjustments repeated consistently. A single workout does not make someone strong. A single day of studying does not create expertise. It is the accumulation of effort that creates transformation. When you improve just a little each day, the progress may feel invisible in the moment, but over time it becomes undeniable. This is how confidence is built naturally without forcing it. Small improvement also keeps you mentally engaged. Big goals can feel overwhelming, especially when the gap between where you are and where you want to be feels large. When the mind feels overwhelmed, it shuts down or looks for distractions. Daily improvement breaks large goals into manageable steps. Instead of asking, "How do I change my life?" you ask, "What can I do better today?" That question feels doable, and because it feels doable, it leads to action. Consistency is more valuable than intensity. Many people work hard for a short period and then burn out. They try to change everything at once, and when they fail to maintain it, they feel discouraged. Small daily improvement avoids burnout because it respects human limits. It allows rest, reflection, and adjustment. Progress becomes sustainable instead of exhausting. This sustainability is what allows growth to continue long after motivation fades. Improvement, focused thinking also strengthens discipline. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to do extreme things. It is about showing up regularly, even when enthusiasm is low. When your standard is to be slightly better than yesterday, discipline feels lighter. You do not need to be perfect, you just need to be present. Over time, this presence turns into a habit, and habits shape identity. Another powerful effect of daily improvement is reduced comparison. Perfection-driven people constantly measure themselves against others. They look at finished results and forget the years of effort behind them. This comparison creates insecurity and impatience. When your focus is improvement, comparison loses its grip. You measure progress against your past self instead of someone else's highlight reel. This creates a sense of personal ownership over your journey. Small improvements also sharpen awareness. You begin to notice details you ignored before. You reflect more often. You ask better questions. You recognize patterns in your behavior and results. This awareness allows you to adjust direction early instead of waiting until problems become serious. Perfection waits for everything to align. Improvement adapts in real time. Failure feels different when your goal is growth. Instead of labeling yourself as unsuccessful, you analyze what did not work and make a small correction. This mindset builds resilience. You become less emotionally attached to outcomes and more focused on learning. Each setback becomes information rather than a verdict. This emotional flexibility is essential for long-term success in any field. Daily improvement also builds quiet confidence. Loud confidence often comes from external validation and praise. Quiet confidence comes from knowing you are making progress, even when no one is watching. When you know you are improving, you do not need constant approval. Your self-belief becomes internal rather than dependent on results or recognition. Over time, small improvements compound. What feels insignificant today becomes powerful months later. Skills deepen, decision-making improves, self-trust strengthens. People often underestimate what can be achieved in a year because they overestimate what can be done in a day. Daily improvement works in the opposite way. It accepts modest daily gains and allows time to multiply them. This approach also creates patience. When you expect perfection, you want results immediately. When you commit to improvement, you accept that growth takes time. This patience reduces anxiety and frustration. You stop rushing the process and start respecting it. You understand that mastery is not a destination but a direction. Becoming better every day is not about pushing harder. It is about showing up with intention, learning from experience, and making small adjustments. It is about trusting the process even when results are not immediate. Over time, the person who improves consistently surpasses the one who waited for the perfect moment to begin. Life is unpredictable. No matter how carefully you plan, there will be unexpected obstacles, criticisms, setbacks, and moments of uncertainty. Many people spend their energy hoping that difficulties will not come. They wish for smooth paths and perfect conditions. But strength is not built by avoiding challenges. It is built by facing them with the belief that you can handle whatever comes your way. That belief alone changes how you experience pressure. When you tell yourself, I can handle this, you activate a different response inside your mind and body. Instead of panic, you create focus. Instead of shrinking, you expand. The situation itself may not change, but your interpretation of it does. And interpretation determines reaction. Two people can face the same challenge. One sees it as proof of failure. The other sees it as a test of growth. The difference is not the difficulty. The difference is belief. Fear often comes from underestimating yourself. You imagine worst-case scenarios and assume you will not be strong enough to deal with them. This assumption weakens you before anything even happens. But when you consciously remind yourself of past struggles you have survived, you begin to see evidence of resilience. Every challenge you overcame becomes proof that you are more capable than you think. Confidence is not built from comfort. It is built from survival and adaptation. Believing you can handle whatever comes your way does not mean you will not feel stress. It means you trust your ability to respond. Stress becomes energy instead of paralysis. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, how can I respond wisely? That small shift in language changes your focus from victimhood to responsibility. Responsibility feels heavy at first, but it is actually empowering because it gives you control over your actions. Challenges are inevitable in growth. If you are trying to improve your career, relationships, health, or skills, you will face resistance. Resistance is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is often a sign that you are stretching beyond your comfort zone. When you expect difficulties as part of the process, you are less shocked when they appear. Preparation reduces panic. You move forward with steadiness rather than surprise. This mindset also strengthens emotional regulation. When something unexpected happens, your first reaction might be frustration or disappointment. That is natural. But the belief that you can handle it prevents those emotions from taking over completely. You pause, you breathe, you think before reacting. This pause is powerful. It allows you to respond instead of explode. Over time, this emotional discipline builds maturity and self-respect. Another important aspect of this belief is adaptability. Not every plan will work. Not every effort will succeed immediately. When you trust yourself to handle challenges, you become flexible. You adjust strategies instead of abandoning goals. You learn new skills instead of blaming circumstances. Adaptability turns obstacles into detours rather than dead ends. It keeps momentum alive even when the route changes. Confidence built on this principle is stable because it is realistic. It does not say, nothing bad will happen. It says, even if something bad happens, I will figure it out. This form of confidence is calm and grounded. It does not need constant reassurance. It grows quietly with each handled situation. Every time you face something difficult and move through it, your belief strengthens. Self-trust deepens because you have evidence. Believing you can handle whatever comes your way also reduces avoidance. Many people avoid opportunities because they fear potential problems. They do not apply for jobs, start businesses, or pursue dreams because they imagine failure. But when you trust your ability to handle setbacks, you become more willing to take risks. Risk feels less threatening because you know that even if things go wrong, you will survive and learn. This mindset influences how others perceive you as well. People are naturally drawn to those who remain steady under pressure. Leaders, friends, and partners who demonstrate resilience create a sense of security for others. When you respond calmly to challenges, you inspire confidence in those around you. Your strength becomes contagious. Others begin to believe in themselves because they see how you handle adversity. Over time, repeated challenges shape character. You develop patience, problem-solving skills, and emotional strength. You begin to see difficulties not as interruptions, but as training. Each obstacle refines you. Each setback sharpens your awareness. Instead of fearing the unknown, you approach it with cautious optimism. You may not know exactly how things will unfold, but you know you will adapt. Life will never remove all uncertainty. There will always be variables outside your control. The only constant you can rely on is your response. When you train your mind to believe in your resilience, uncertainty becomes less intimidating. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start building inner strength. That strength becomes your anchor in unstable moments. It reminds you that while circumstances change, your ability to respond with courage and intelligence remains within your control. Ideas are everywhere. Everyone has plans, intentions, and dreams. What separates those who move forward from those who stay stuck is not intelligence or talent, but action. Action is the bridge between thought and reality. Without it, even the best ideas remain invisible. When you decide that today you will take action, you shift from wishing to building. Many people confuse thinking with progress. They plan, analyze, and prepare endlessly, believing that movement is happening. But real progress begins only when effort leaves the mind and enters the real world. Action introduces risk, uncertainty, and discomfort, which is why many avoid it. But without those elements, growth cannot occur. Comfort keeps life familiar, not successful. Taking action today does not mean making a perfect move. It means making a real one. Waiting for the right mood, the right timing, or the right confidence often becomes an excuse for delay. Mood is unreliable. Timing is never perfect. Confidence grows after action, not before it. When you act despite uncertainty, you send a signal to yourself that you are capable of moving forward, even when conditions are not ideal. Small actions are often underestimated. People believe only big steps matter, so they delay until they feel ready for something significant. In reality, small actions create momentum. Sending one email, making one call, writing one page, or practicing one skill may seem minor, but it breaks inertia. Once momentum starts, the next step feels easier. Action reduces resistance because it replaces fear with experience. Fear thrives in imagination. When you imagine failure, your mind creates exaggerated scenarios. Action brings clarity. When you do something, even imperfectly, you gather real information. You learn what works and what doesn't. This feedback is essential. Without action, you stay trapped in assumptions. With action, you replace assumptions with understanding. Daily action also builds self-trust. Every time you follow through on a commitment, even a small one, you strengthen your relationship with yourself. You begin to believe your own promises. This trust is foundational for confidence. People who lack confidence often have a history of breaking commitments to themselves. Consistent action repairs that relationship. Another important effect of action is focus. When you are actively doing something, distractions lose their power. Your mind becomes engaged. Overthinking decreases because attention is directed toward execution. Action anchors you in the present moment. Instead of worrying about outcomes, you focus on the task at hand. This presence improves performance and reduces anxiety. Action also creates opportunities that thinking alone cannot. Many opportunities appear only after movement begins. Conversations happen, feedback arrives, connections form, and ideas evolve through interaction with the real world. Waiting keeps possibilities theoretical. Action makes them visible. Even setbacks that come from action often open unexpected doors. Taking action today builds discipline. Discipline is not about forcing yourself into extreme effort. It is about building a pattern of follow-through. When action becomes part of your daily routine, it no longer feels heroic. It feels normal. This normality is powerful because it allows progress to continue even on days when motivation is low. Action-oriented people learn faster. Experience accelerates learning more than observation ever can. Mistakes become teachers rather than sources of shame. Each attempt refines skill and judgment. Over time, decision-making improves because you have a broader base of experience to draw from. Action sharpens intuition because intuition is built from repeated exposure, not speculation. Delaying action often comes from fear of failure or fear of judgment, but avoidance has a cost. The cost is regret, stagnation, and unrealized potential. When you choose action, you choose growth over comfort. You accept the possibility of failure in exchange for the possibility of progress. This trade-off is unavoidable in any meaningful pursuit. Taking action today also builds resilience. When you act regularly, challenges become familiar. You learn how to recover, adjust, and continue. Resilience grows because you stop seeing obstacles as reasons to quit and start seeing them as part of the process. Each challenge handled strengthens your belief in your ability to move forward. Over time, consistent action shapes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who plans and start seeing yourself as someone who does. This identity shift is profound. Your standards rise. Your expectations of yourself become stronger. You no longer wait for permission or perfect conditions. You act because action has become part of who you are. Today is always the most powerful time to act. Yesterday is gone and tomorrow is uncertain. Action today creates momentum that carries forward. One step taken now is worth more than 1,000 planned steps later. When action becomes your daily language, progress becomes inevitable. Your words shape your inner world long before they shape your outer results. Every sentence you repeat to yourself sends instructions to your brain. The mind does not question these instructions. It works to prove them right. This is why self-belief is not a motivational idea, but a practical tool. What you consistently tell yourself becomes the framework through which you interpret events, make decisions, and take action. Many people speak to themselves in ways they would never speak to others. They repeat doubts, criticisms, and fears without realizing the damage being done. These words quietly lower expectations and reduce effort. Over time, the mind accepts them as truth. Once that happens, behavior follows. A person who believes they are weak will avoid challenges. A person who believes they are capable will look for ways forward even when things are difficult. Self-belief does not mean blind optimism. It does not mean pretending you have no weaknesses or that everything will work out perfectly. It means trusting your ability to learn, adapt, and grow. When you believe in your capacity to improve, mistakes lose their power to define you. Failure becomes an event, not an identity. This belief keeps you moving instead of stuck. Confidence grows from internal dialogue. When you repeatedly affirm your ability to handle challenges, your nervous system responds differently. You feel steadier under pressure. Your breathing stays calmer. Your thinking becomes clearer. This is not imagination, it is conditioning. The brain responds to repetition. The more often you reinforce strength-focused messages, the more natural they become. Belief also influences effort. When you believe improvement is possible, you are more willing to invest energy. When you doubt yourself, effort feels pointless. This is why belief often comes before results. Results are visible proof, but belief is the invisible fuel. Without fuel, movement does not happen. With fuel, progress becomes possible even when results are delayed. Another powerful effect of self-belief is persistence. Challenges are inevitable, but belief determines how long you stay in the game. People with weak self-belief quit early because obstacles feel like confirmation of inadequacy. People with strong self-belief see obstacles as part of the journey. They may feel frustration, but they do not lose faith in their ability to continue. Persistence is not stubbornness, it is confidence in long-term growth. Self-belief also shapes decision-making. When you trust yourself, you make clearer choices. You do not seek constant validation. You listen to advice, but you are not controlled by it. This independence creates maturity. You take responsibility for outcomes instead of blaming others. Responsibility strengthens belief further because each decision becomes a learning experience. Belief in yourself also affects how you respond to criticism. Without self-belief, criticism feels personal and threatening. With self-belief, criticism becomes information. You filter what is useful and discard what is not. Your sense of worth remains stable because it is not dependent on approval. This emotional stability allows growth without losing confidence. Daily reinforcement is essential. Belief fades if it is not maintained. Just as physical strength weakens without training, mental strength weakens without reinforcement. Morning self-statements act as training for the mind. They remind you of your capacity before the world challenges it. This preparation creates resilience. You face the day grounded instead of reactive. Belief also influences how others respond to you. People sense confidence through tone, posture, and presence. When you believe in yourself, you communicate with clarity. You speak with intention. Others are more likely to trust you because you trust yourself. This creates opportunities that uncertainty often blocks. There is also a long-term effect on identity. Repeated belief-based statements shape how you see yourself. Identity drives behavior more powerfully than goals. When you see yourself as capable, disciplined, and resilient, actions align naturally. You do not force consistency, you express it. This alignment reduces internal conflict and increases focus. Doubt will still appear. Belief does not eliminate doubt, it balances it. Doubt becomes a signal to prepare better, not a command to stop. You acknowledge fear without obeying it. This emotional intelligence allows progress without denial. You move forward while remaining aware. Over time, self-belief compounds. Each small success reinforces it. Each challenge handled strengthens it. What began as intentional words becomes lived experience. The mind no longer needs constant reminders because confidence has become embedded. You trust yourself not because everything has worked out, but because you have proven your ability to navigate uncertainty. Self-belief is not built in dramatic moments. It is built quietly, daily, through consistent inner dialogue. The words you choose every morning determine the standard you live by. When belief becomes your foundation, effort becomes easier, persistence becomes natural, and growth becomes inevitable.